Welcome to the channel. Today we will embark on a very special journey. First, I have a small request for you. We want to improve our videos for you. Our goal is to offer higher quality content. If you notice any areas for improvement, please write to us in the comments. This could include sound quality, visual effects, or narration speed. Your ideas are very valuable to us. This evening, we will explore the story of the Anunnaki gods. This fascinating narrative concerns the astronaut gods in Sumerian mythology. A secret is hidden within tablets written 6,000 years ago. This secret is perhaps humanity's greatest mystery. We will investigate it. Now, I have another very special request for you. We are calling out to everyone watching us from around the world. Please share your city and the current time in the comments. This way, we can see the global scale of the Echoes of History family. Thus, we can connect with each other. Are you ready? Then make yourselves comfortable. Dim the lights. Journey with me to 6,000 years ago. Let us go to the fertile lands of Mesopotamia. You will find yourselves in the vast Mesopotamian plain, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers converge. Here, abundance and life are in an eternal dance. Humanity began recording stories here more than 6,000 years ago. These stories would echo through millennia. Here, the stories begin of beings who shaped the foundations of civilization. These beings had descended from the heavens. The Sumerians, remarkable innovators, invented writing, law, and city planning. They also bequeathed a detailed mythology to us. This mythology was filled with astronomical and technological references, which modern scholars still debate today. Ancient tablets were discovered in the ruins of Ur, Babylon, and Nippur. On these tablets, you will encounter the Anunnaki. The word Anunnaki means those who from heaven to earth came. They were a pantheon of gods, not the invisible deities of later traditions. Instead, they possessed a striking physical presence, defined by technological mastery. The Epic of Gilgamesh predates sacred texts by more than 1,000 years. This epic refers to the Anunnaki as a historical record, not merely mythological figments. The Sumerian king list also records the reigns of world rulers. This remarkable document begins with an extraordinary claim. It states that kingship descended from heaven and was established in Eridu. Alu-Lim became king there, reigning for 2,800 years. This is not the language of allegory. Rather, it is the language of a chronicle. The Sumerians recorded these immense lifespans. They also included practical details of administration, agriculture, and law. It was as if the longevity of these early rulers was an ordinary fact that needed to be noted and preserved. We must consider the context from which these records emerged. The Sumerians invented cuneiform, the first known writing system. It was used to manage the complex logistics of their city-states. The Sumerians were meticulous record keepers, recording grain distributions, legal contracts, and astronomical observations. They also kept mathematical calculations with astonishing precision. Their 60-based mathematical system is still in use today. It governs our measurements of time and angles. These were not a people prone to fanciful notions in their official documents. The tablets describe the arrival of the Anunnaki on Earth. They do this with astonishing technical detail. They speak of beings who traversed the heavens to reach the planet. These beings possessed genetic knowledge. They shaped humans from clay. They possessed advanced metallurgical knowledge. They taught humans how to process gold, silver, and copper. Moreover, They introduced advanced agricultural methods, including irrigation and organized farming. One of the principal gods of the Anunnaki was Enki. He is known for genetic engineering, combining the essence of the gods with that of primitive hominids. Thus, he literally created modern humans. What makes these narratives compelling are their global echoes. Cultures separated by vast oceans and thousands of years tell astonishingly similar stories. These stories are about sky gods descending to teach humanity the arts of civilization. India's Vedic texts speak of Vimanas, the flying vehicles of the gods. Ancient Chinese accounts describe celestial deities arriving from the stars. Mesoamerican cultures revere Quetzalcoatl. They also remember other feathered serpents who brought knowledge from above. Even the biblical narrative of the Nephilim echoes these themes. This narrative speaks of those who came to earth as sons of God. Archaeological records add another layer of mystery. The precision of megalithic structures worldwide is remarkable. This precision suggests the technological capabilities of their builders. These structures range from Göbekli Tepe in Turkey to the Giza pyramids. These capabilities seem inconsistent with their builders' supposedly primitive tools. Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki as master builders. They also portray them as engineers. The Anunnaki were beings capable of moving colossal stones. They could build monuments that would challenge even modern construction techniques. However, the most impressive aspect is the astronomical knowledge found in ancient texts. The Sumerians accurately described the solar system as heliocentric. They did this at a time when most cultures believed in geocentric models. They knew about Uranus and Neptune thousands of years before telescopes made such observations possible. Their descriptions of the solar system are significant. These descriptions include planets unknown until the modern era. Their calendar systems revealed a complex understanding of celestial mechanics that would not be rediscovered until the Renaissance. Most astonishing is their knowledge of Pluto's orbital characteristics. They also had descriptions of a 12th planet, Nibiru. Nibiru supposedly approached Earth every 3,600 years. Mainstream astronomy has not confirmed such a planet. However, the mathematical precision of their orbital calculations is significant, suggesting more than mere speculation. It implies a basis in sophisticated observational data. How did a Bronze Age civilization acquire such a sophisticated understanding of astronomy? They had neither telescopes nor space exploration capabilities. This question troubles serious academics. The question arising from this wealth of evidence is different. Whether the Sumerians believed in the Anunnaki is not the main point. This is evident from thousands of tablets and monuments. So, what inspired such consistent narratives across multiple ancient civilizations? These narratives were detailed and technically sophisticated. Were these entirely mythological constructs? Or do they represent cultural memories of actual historical events? Perhaps they were distorted by millennia of oral tradition before being written down. The transition from mythology to potential history is very intriguing. You see this when examining the specific roles of the Anunnaki pantheon. Studying their hierarchies is also important. These beings were not omnipotent gods, nor were they presented as perfect deities. They were depicted as complex beings. They had distinct specializations. They experienced interpersonal conflicts. They also had very human-like motivations. Sumerian texts are very different from religious mythology. They read like corporate organizational charts. These charts are full of chains of command. They also include judicial disputes and bureaucratic procedures. At the pinnacle of this hierarchy stood the supreme ruler, On. The name On means sky or heaven. On rarely intervened directly in earthly affairs. He was defined as the ultimate authority and delegated responsibilities to the lesser Anunnaki. His palace was said to be in the highest heavens. From there, he governed not only Earth, but many worlds across the cosmos. The texts suggest that Earth was merely a colonial outpost. This outpost existed within a vast interplanetary empire. Beneath On were his sons, Enlil and Enki. Enlil represented the atmosphere, while Enki represented water. Enlil's name translates as Lord of the Air. He was given dominion over Earth's atmosphere. Weather systems were also under his control. The tablets describe Enlil as possessing specific technologies. He could control the climate and create storms. He could even trigger global floods. The famous flood narrative appears in many cultures worldwide. It ranges from Noah's Ark to the Hindu Prahliyas. This narrative is based on Enlil's decision in Sumerian texts. Enlil had decided to cleanse humanity from Earth, as humanity had become numerous and problematic. The Earth Lord, Enki, was different. Enki is depicted as the protector of humanity. He was also the source of technological advancement. Enlil viewed humans as a necessary but potentially dangerous labor force. His brother, Enki, however, seemed to have developed a genuine affection for human creations. The tablets credit Enki with warning the Sumerian Noah figure Utnapishtim about the coming flood. Thus, he ensured humanity's survival. This was not presented as divine omniscience, but rather as a decision made by the Anunnaki Council. It was framed as insider information about an upcoming administrative decision. The technical sophistication attributed to these beings is immense. It extends far beyond primitive mythology. The Epic of Ehtahna describes flying vehicles with astonishing precision. The basket carrying Ehtahna ascended into the sky. Below, he could see the earth spread out like a map. This is not the ambiguous language of mystical ascension, but a detailed account of aerial observation. The narrative contains specific visual references to the Earth's curvature. These were observed from high altitude. Similarly, the texts describe the Anunnaki's Mi. Mi is often translated as divine powers. However, it is more accurately understood as advanced technologies and information systems. These Mi were not abstract concepts. They were tangible items. They could be stolen, exchanged, or lost. The goddess In-Na stealing Mi from Enki is interesting. This event reads like a narrative of industrial espionage. The narrative is complete with detailed inventories of transferred technologies. These include metallurgy, navigation, mathematics, and medicine. The originality of these narratives is significant. It suggests they might be cultural memories of actual technology transfers. The Anunnaki's expertise in genetics is remarkable. This is perhaps the most controversial aspect of their legacy. The tablets describe the creation of humans. The process is astonishingly similar to modern genetic engineering. Enki and the goddess Ninhursag are credited with combining Earth's clay with the breath of life from the gods. Thus, organic matter and genetic material were united. The result was a hybrid, partly primitive hominid and partly Anunnaki. This hybrid would serve as a worker in the gods' mining operations. This genetic manipulation was not a single miraculous event. Instead, it is described as a long process of trial and error. The texts speak of failed experiments. They also describe creatures that were too weak or too strong. Beings unable to reproduce properly are also mentioned. Various modifications were made to achieve the desired outcome. This iterative approach to genetic engineering is present. It bears striking similarities to modern biotechnology procedures. In these procedures, numerous trials and refinements are standard practice. Mining operations present another intriguing element. The Sumerians were among the first peoples to develop sophisticated mining techniques. They used these techniques especially for gold extraction. The texts consistently describe the Anunnaki's intense interest in gold. This interest was not for decorative purposes, but for specific technological applications. Modern science confirmed the unique properties of gold. Gold finds use in electronics, space technology, and advanced material science. Was the Anunnaki focus on gold merely an aesthetic preference? Or did it reflect practical technological needs? Astronomical information encoded in these myths continues to amaze researchers. The Sumerians accurately described the solar system as heliocentric. They did this at a time when most cultures believed in geocentric models. They knew about Uranus and Neptune thousands of years before telescopes allowed observations. Their descriptions of the solar system are significant. These descriptions included planets unrecognized until the modern era. Their calendar systems revealed a complex understanding of celestial mechanics. This understanding would not be rediscovered until the Renaissance. The most astonishing detail was information about Pluto's orbital characteristics. Furthermore, descriptions existed about Nibiru, the 12th planet, said to approach Earth every 3,600 years. Mainstream astronomy has not confirmed such a celestial body. However, the mathematical accuracy of their orbital calculations suggested more than mere speculation. This information was based on sophisticated observational data. How did a Bronze Age civilization obtain such advanced astronomical knowledge without telescopes or space exploration? This remains a fundamental question for serious scientists. The real question emerging from this rich evidence is not if the Sumerians believed in the Anunnaki. This belief is clear from thousands of tablets and monuments. Therefore, how did such consistent, detailed, and technically complex narratives arise across multiple ancient civilizations? Were these purely fictional accounts? Or did they represent cultural memories of real historical events, even if distorted by thousands of years of oral tradition? Whether these stories are literally true is not the critical point. This topic is still hotly debated. Instead, the fundamental question is this: how did Bronze Age people develop such consistent narratives? These narratives involve topics like cosmic engineering, genetic manipulation, and interplanetary governance. Furthermore, these were technically very detailed. Were the Sumerians extraordinarily skilled mythologists? Did they intuitively grasp scientific concepts thousands of years ahead of their time? These concepts could not have been formally known then. Or did they filter through their cultural perceptions encounters with technologies far beyond? Their understanding, did they keep records of these encounters with these beings? The transition from cosmic rulers to mundane laborers presents a significant issue. This is the most disturbing aspect of the Anunnaki narrative. It is precisely the creation of humanity itself. When examining the Sumerian tablets, you notice an interesting detail. Humans were not described as beloved children of benevolent gods. They were hybrid beings created for tasks the Anunnaki found tedious or dangerous. This utilitarian view of human origins is quite striking. It contrasts with later religious traditions emphasizing humanity's special spiritual status. According to these ancient sources, humanity's creation resulted from a labor dispute among the gods. The tablets describe a revolt by the E-G-G, the subordinate Anunnaki assigned to mining operations on Earth. These beings extracted gold and other minerals from the planet's crust. However, they grew weary of the arduous physical labor. Consequently, they refused to continue their work. The situation reached a critical point when the EGG dropped their tools and demanded help from their cosmic overlords. The mining operation was about to shut down. This threatened a larger project requiring these materials. The Anunnaki leadership convened to find a solution. The tablets record their deliberations with the mundane practicality of a corporate board meeting. Various options were considered. Increasing incentives for the striking workers was one option. Importing laborers from other worlds was also considered. Finding an alternative source of material was among the choices. Ultimately, the solution they chose was to create a new type of worker. This new type was intelligent enough to perform complex tasks. At the same time, it was obedient enough to work without complaint. The ensuing genetic engineering project was overseen by Enki. The goddess Ninhursag, described as the Anunnaki's chief medical officer, also participated in the oversight. The tablets provide surprisingly detailed accounts of their experimental procedures. They describe how genetic material was collected from existing hominids. They also detail how it was combined with the Anunnaki's own genetic essence. The goal was to create beings strong enough for the mining work. These beings would be intelligent enough to follow complex instructions. However, remaining controllable was also important. Therefore, they were planned to have a limited lifespan and capability. The process was not immediate or flawless. The texts mention numerous failed attempts. Some creatures perished shortly after creation. Other beings could not reproduce. Some hybrids remained too aggressive or too passive for the intended work. The experimental period seemingly lasted for generations. Continuous refinements were made to achieve the desired characteristics. Finally, they succeeded in creating the first modern human. They named him Adapa. This name shared linguistic roots with the biblical Adam. This genetic manipulation went beyond simple hybridization. The tablets describe complex procedures surprisingly similar to modern genetic engineering techniques. The tablets mention various processes. These included extracting essence from bone marrow, using stem cells, and combining genetic material in artificial environments. Laboratory conditions and the implantation of modified embryos into surrogate mothers were also part of these processes. The goddess Ninhursag herself is reported to have served in this capacity. The results of this genetic engineering project, according to the texts, were immediate successes. The new human laborers efficiently carried out the mining operations, remaining docile and manageable. However, the tablets also record an unexpected development. Some humans began to display intellectual and creative abilities exceeding their design parameters. Humans developed the ability for independent thought. Their skills in artistic expression also increased. The most concerning development for their creators was this: they acquired the ability to reproduce without permission or oversight. This intellectual evolution among humans led to new tensions within the Anunnaki hierarchy. Initially, Enlil had supported the Human Creation Project. He saw it as a practical solution to the labor shortage. However, he grew concerned about humanity's increasing abilities and numbers. The tablets record his complaints to the Anunnaki Council. He stated that humans had become too numerous, too independent, and too dangerous to control. On the other hand, Enki seemed to develop genuine affection for his human creations. The texts portray him as an increasingly protective figure of humanity. He sometimes worked against the directives of other Anunnaki to ensure humanity's survival and progress. A philosophical divergence existed between the two brothers. Enlil viewed humans as potentially dangerous tools. Enki, however, deemed them worthy of protection and development. This continued throughout Sumerian literature. These stories may reflect real historical tensions within the group. The mining operations are described with significant technical detail. The Sumerians possessed advanced metallurgical knowledge. This knowledge required a sophisticated understanding of chemistry and engineering. It included techniques for extracting and refining gold, silver, copper, and other metals. Mining operations in Africa, particularly in modern-day South Africa, have been confirmed by modern archaeology. This region contains evidence of extensive ancient mining activities predating known civilizations. The tablets describe the Anunnaki's specific interest in gold. However, this interest was not for decorative or monetary purposes. Gold was essential for specific technological applications requiring its unique properties. These properties included conductivity, corrosion resistance, and malleability. Modern technology confirms gold's fundamental role in electronics, space technology, and advanced material science. Ancient peoples understood and used these properties thousands of years ago. Modern science, however, discovered these properties much later. This raises interesting questions about the source of their knowledge. Human laborers were created for these operations. They were apparently designed with specific capabilities in mind. They possessed the physical strength required for mining work. Furthermore, they had the ability to follow complex instructions and operate sophisticated equipment. However, certain limitations also existed, preventing them from challenging their creators. Most importantly, their lifespans were significantly shorter than the Anunnaki. This ensured that even the most intelligent and capable humans could not accumulate enough knowledge or experience to pose a long-term threat. However, the tablets also record that some humans began to exceed these design limitations. Through interbreeding with certain Anunnaki or genetic mutations, some human lineages developed enhanced abilities, longer lifespans, and greater independence. These exceptional humans became leaders and innovators of early civilization. They are credited with developing agriculture, mathematics, astronomy, and other advanced knowledge systems. The question arising from these detailed narratives is this: do they represent pure mythology, or are they cultural memories of actual historical events? Genetic engineering themes are consistent across many ancient cultures. Furthermore, the technical sophistication of the described procedures is striking. This suggests either an extraordinary foresight by ancient mythologists, or it indicates the preservation of real historical memories through oral tradition. Could these stories reflect humanity's earliest memories? Could they be contacts with advanced beings possessing genetic engineering capabilities? In early Sumerian texts, the relationship between gods and mortals was harmonious. However, this situation evolved into narratives of increasing tension, rebellion, and destructive conflict. When examining these later narratives, you encounter descriptions of wars encompassing not just Earth, but the heavens themselves. Cosmic battles occurred. Surprisingly advanced weapons and technologies for a Bronze Age imagination were used. These narratives suggest that the historical events inspiring these myths involved conflicts of an unprecedented scale and sophistication. The origin of this cosmic rebellion was humanity's unexpected evolution beyond original design parameters. The tablets record increasing alarm among certain Anunnaki factions. Humans had not only developed greater intelligence and creativity, they also developed the ability to interbreed with their creators. This genetic mingling produced hybrid offspring. These offspring possessed enhanced abilities. They threatened the established hierarchy between gods and mortals. For example, the biblical Nephi limb narrative reflects this phenomenon. This narrative states that the sons of God saw the beauty of human daughters and took as wives any they chose. The resulting offspring were described as giants and famous men on earth. They possessed superhuman abilities. However, they also had a dangerous independence from divine authority. Similar narratives appear in cultures across the world. Figures like the Greek Titans, the Hindu deities, and the Norse Jotuns are described as hybrid beings. These beings challenge the established cosmic order. Enlil initially tolerated human development. This continued as long as it served Anunnaki interests. However, Enlil grew increasingly concerned about these hybrid populations. The tablets record his discussions before the Anunnaki Council. Enlil warned that humans and their hybrid descendants had become too numerous and too intelligent. He argued they were too independent to be kept under effective control. Enlil pointed to the technological advancements of humans. There was also organized resistance against Anunnaki authority. Most troubling was this revelation. Some humans were attempting to reverse engineer Anunnaki technologies. The situation reached a critical point when certain human populations began to develop their own advanced technologies. The tablets describe humans learning many things. They mastered metalworking, built sophisticated structures, and developed writing systems. They even created flying vehicles that mimicked Anunnaki craft. Sites like Puma Punku in Bolivia and Göbekli Tepe in Turkey are significant. Large stone structures worldwide offer archaeological evidence. These findings suggest ancient peoples possessed impressive construction skills. However, these capabilities seemed inconsistent with the primitive tools presumed to exist at the time. Meanwhile, Enki continued to advocate for humanity's preservation and development. The tablets portray him as a protective figure. Humans had evolved beyond their initial creation purpose. They were no longer simply a tool. Humans deserved recognition as a legitimate species. A deep philosophical division existed between the two brothers. Enlil called for strict control or elimination. Enki supported human independence. This division reflected larger factional splits within the Anunnaki hierarchy. The conflict escalated when certain human communities, led by hybrid rulers, directly challenged Anunnaki authority. The tablets detail organized rebellions. They describe attacks on Anunnaki facilities and attempts to seize their technology. These were not simple uprisings with primitive weapons. Instead, humans had acquired advanced tactics and technologies, manifesting as sophisticated military operations. The Anunnaki response was swift and devastating. The tablets describe the use of weapons with incredible destructive power against rebellious human groups. Cities were obliterated in single attacks. Entire regions became uninhabitable. These weapons could level mountains, turn sand into glass, and poison soil for generations. Their descriptions strikingly resemble modern nuclear armaments. Archaeological evidence from various ancient sites supports the possibility of such advanced warfare. Tree-Fayed stone formations found worldwide suggest exposure to temperatures beyond traditional Bronze Age technology. Ancient glass fields in the Sahara Desert and the mysterious crater at Lonar in India exist. Various other geological anomalies have led some researchers to speculate about ancient nuclear warfare. However, mainstream archaeology attributes these formations to natural phenomena. The most famous of these conflicts was the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. described in biblical accounts. However, Sumerian texts recount this event with far greater technical detail. The tablets record that these cities were destroyed, but not for moral reasons. They had become centers of rebellion against Anunnaki authority. The weapons used created explosions visible from great distances, leaving lasting contamination that rendered the land uninhabitable for generations. Significant changes occurred in the relationship between the Anunnaki and humanity following these conflicts. The tablets suggest many Anunnaki began to withdraw from direct intervention in human affairs. Instead, they established a more distant form of governance through human intermediaries. This transition may have signaled a system resembling the divine right of kings. Under this system, human rulers claimed legitimacy through their connection to the gods, rather than being directly governed. However, the withdrawal was not complete. The texts describe ongoing conflicts among different Anunnaki factions, where human populations served as proxies. Cities and nations aligned themselves with different deities, receiving technological and military support for loyalty and resources. This model of divine warfare appears throughout ancient literature. Examples include the Trojan War and various Old Testament conflicts, where Greek gods openly supported different sides. The technological sophistication described in these conflicts raises profound questions about the nature of ancient warfare. How did Bronze Age peoples develop such detailed and consistent narratives about weapons strikingly similar to modern military technology? Descriptions exist of aircraft, guided missiles, and electromagnetic weapons. Even what appear to be nuclear devices are described. These descriptions suggest either extraordinary imagination or cultural memories of actual advanced warfare. Perhaps most intriguing, these narratives do not merely describe the weapons themselves. They also detail their strategic deployment, tactical applications, and long-term consequences. This demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of military doctrine and technology. The level of technical detail in many of these accounts exceeds what would be expected from purely mythological sources. This suggests they may preserve actual historical information, even if distorted over centuries of oral transmission. The unsettling question concerning these narratives is this: were they pure fantasy? Were they cultural memories of natural disasters interpreted through religious frameworks? Or were they actual historical records of conflicts involving technologies beyond the understanding of Bronze Age chroniclers? The consistency of these themes across numerous ancient cultures is striking. Combined with archaeological anomalies difficult to explain by conventional historical models, this continues to challenge our understanding of humanity's ancient past. The technological sophistication attributed to the Anunnaki extended far beyond simple tools or weapons. They accessed realms strikingly similar to modern advanced technology. Examining specific descriptions of their capabilities preserved in ancient texts, one encounters narratives about devices and systems. These seem to foreshadow scientific developments that would not appear in human civilization for thousands of years. These descriptions are often so technical and precise that they read more like engineering manuals than religious mythology. The most frequently mentioned Anunnaki technologies were their aircraft, described with surprising consistency and detail across various ancient texts. The Sumerians referred to flying craft with the term mu. These vehicles were flame-powered, capable of vertical ascent, immense speeds, and operation in the vacuum of space. Detailed descriptions include technical specifications for propulsion systems and navigation equipment. Life support capabilities were also noted, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of aeronautical engineering principles. India's Vedic texts offer even more technical details about similar craft called Viyamanaz. The Vahima Nika Shastra, attributed to the sage Bahradwajah, reads like a technical manual for an advanced aircraft. This manual details the characteristics of different types of flying machines, complete with construction materials, propulsion systems, and operating procedures. The text describes mercury-based propulsion systems. It also recounts gyroscope IK stabilization and defensive capabilities that appear to be radar jamming and stealth technology. These ancient aircraft were apparently not just vehicles. They were also complete technological systems. The tablets describe them as containing sophisticated computers and communication equipment, referred to as tablets of destiny. These systems could establish long-range contact and monitor activities over vast areas. The precision of these descriptions suggests they were based on direct observation rather than imagination. Anunnaki genetic engineering capabilities were equally sophisticated. The tablets provide detailed descriptions of laboratory facilities for genetic modification procedures. These facilities featured controlled environments for embryonic development, sophisticated tools for genetic manipulation, and artificial intelligence systems. The goddess Ninhursag had access to these advanced facilities. They could accelerate natural developmental processes, combine genetic material from different species, and create entirely new life forms. The technical vocabulary used in these genetic engineering narratives is particularly striking. For instance, terms translated as essence of life, seed of life, and breath of the gods existed. These seem to refer to what modern science would recognize as DNA, genetic material, and cellular programming. The described procedures involve genetic material extraction and combination in controlled environments, followed by implantation into carrier hosts. These processes were protocols closely resembling modern genetic engineering techniques. Perhaps most remarkable are the descriptions of Anunnaki information processing and storage systems. Ancient tablets describe the Anunnaki as possessing sophisticated databases. These contained not just information, but complete technological and procedural knowledge systems. These devices could transfer complex information directly to users, store vast amounts of data in compact forms, and even replicate themselves. These descriptions bear a striking resemblance to modern concepts of digital storage, artificial intelligence, and information transfer systems. Anunnaki mining and material processing capabilities demonstrated equally advanced engineering. The tablets describe equipment that could extract specific elements from ore with high precision. Automated processing facilities operating with minimal oversight were also present. Transportation systems could move vast quantities of material over great distances. As described in ancient texts, the precision and scale of these operations would challenge even modern industrial capabilities. Construction technologies were particularly impressive. The tablets attribute to the Anunnaki the ability to build massive structures. These structures required moving stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons with millimeter precision. These achievements were apparently made possible through technologies. These technologies could manipulate the forces of gravity. They could cut stones with laser-like precision. They could transport materials using methods. These methods did not require traditional mechanical systems. Archaeological sites worldwide still preserve evidence of construction techniques. These techniques remain difficult to explain with traditional historical models. The communication systems attributed to the Anunnaki show a surprising resemblance to modern satellite and computer networks. They apparently possessed instant communication capabilities across interstellar distances. Data processing systems capable of managing complex logistical operations were also present. Furthermore, artificial intelligence systems capable of independent decision-making existed. The tablets describe these systems as interconnected networks. These networks allowed for the coordination of activities across multiple worlds and star systems. Energy generation and management represented another area of Anunnaki expertise. The texts describe power sources. These sources could operate for extended periods without maintenance. Energy transmission systems requiring no physical connection also existed. Furthermore, what appeared to be fusion or other advanced power technologies were present. The precision of these descriptions, including operational parameters and security protocols, suggests direct knowledge. This implies they were based on actual information rather than mere speculation. The medical and life extension technologies attributed to the Anunnaki were equally sophisticated. The tablets describe procedures. These could extend lifespans far beyond normal human limits. They could heal wounds that would normally be fatal. They could even transfer consciousness between bodies. These capabilities were apparently available to both the Anunnaki and select humans. This explained the extraordinary lifespans attributed to early biblical figures and Sumerian kings. The weapon systems employed by the Anunnaki constitute the most controversial aspect of their described technologies. Ancient records speak of devices. These devices could wipe entire cities from the map in a single attack. There were also weapons that could alter weather conditions over vast areas. Additionally, defensive systems were described. These could create impenetrable barriers around protected zones. These effects led to consequences such as long-term environmental contamination. They also caused genetic damage in survivors and permanent alteration of the terrain. These are surprisingly similar to the outcomes of modern nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. A particularly striking feature is found within these technological descriptions. They have shown consistency across many ancient cultures. These cultures were separated by vast geographical areas and different time periods. Texts from various ancient civilizations, such as Sumerian, Vedic, Egyptian, and Mesoamerican, mention similar technologies. These accounts display a surprising coherence. This applies to both general capabilities and specific technical details. This coherence points to two possible scenarios. First, there was an unprecedented collaboration among ancient mythographers. Second, genuine historical knowledge about advanced technologies was transmitted across generations. These detailed technical descriptions raise an important question. Could Bronze Age people have created such complex technological narratives? Could they have done so using only their imaginations? Did they possess the necessary imagination and scientific understanding? The accuracy of these accounts is striking. Moreover, they show consistency across different cultures. They also appear to foresee scientific advancements. These advancements would emerge thousands of years later. This suggests that the narratives may be historical records of genuine encounters with advanced technology. The gradual withdrawal of the Anunnaki from direct intervention in human affairs occurred. This event symbolizes one of the most critical turning points in ancient history. It also marked the end of an era. This era was remembered by many cultures as a golden age. During this period, gods were believed to openly walk among mortals. Examining the accounts of this great departure reveals political upheavals. Moreover, a significant transfer of technology also took place. New forms of governance were established. These would shape human civilization for thousands of years to come. All of this highlights a complex situation. The primary reason for this withdrawal appears to be humanity's increasing complexity and independence. Ancient tablets document a growing concern among the Anunnaki leadership. Humanity's rapid technological advancement was the primary cause of this concern. Maintaining effective control over increasingly numerous and complex human societies had also become difficult. Hybrid generations had emerged from Anunnaki and human unions. These hybrids retained strong ties with human communities. Furthermore, they created a class of leaders with advanced capabilities. This situation generated divided loyalties. These threatened the existing hierarchy. The decision to withdraw was not made with full consensus among the Anunnaki. The tablets record fierce debates within the council. Different factions proposed various solutions to the humanity problem. Enlil continued to argue for direct control or population reduction. However, Enki advocated for a different approach. He proposed allowing humanity to develop independently. He also supported a controlled transition. This would maintain a peaceful relationship with their creators. Apparently, other Anunnaki supported a complete withdrawal. They preferred to leave humanity to develop or perish on its own. Ultimately, the compromise reached offered a solution. This involved the direct and gradual reduction of the Anunnaki presence. Additionally, it envisioned the establishment of human proxy governments. These would maintain order and continue to provide necessary resources. This transition necessitated the creation of new institutions. It also required training human administrators. These administrators could manage complex civilizations. These administrators would function without permanent divine oversight. The tablets describe this as a colossal undertaking. It required meticulous planning and execution across multiple generations. At the core of this transition was the establishment of the concept known as the divine right of kings. Selected human rulers were granted authority. This authority stemmed from their alleged connections to the gods. However, this was a system of remote governance. It allowed the Anunnaki to maintain their influence while reducing direct intervention. These human rulers were provided with technologies, information systems, and administrative structures. These enabled them to efficiently manage large populations. The transfer of technology accompanying this transition was both extensive and selective. The Anunnaki provided humanity with essential knowledge. This knowledge was necessary to sustain civilization. This included agriculture, metallurgy, and mathematics. Information on astronomy, medicine, and law was also transferred. However, they withheld more advanced technologies. These could potentially threaten their supremacy. This selective knowledge sharing laid the foundation for human technological development. It also ensured humanity's continued reliance on its former overseers for certain critical capabilities. The establishment of priestly systems served multiple purposes during this transition. Priests acted as intermediaries between the withdrawn gods and human communities. While maintaining their religious and political authority, they functioned as a knowledge bridge. This connected the Anunnaki and their human subjects. Complex temple structures were built during this period. Apparently, these were not merely religious centers. They also served as communication facilities for the new remote governance system. Furthermore, they became data storage and administrative hubs. The tablets describe the final phase of the Anunnaki withdrawal. This process was meticulously orchestrated. It included the removal of the most advanced technologies. Facilities that humans could not safely use were also destroyed. Archaeological evidence from various ancient regions confirms this situation. It suggests that many complex facilities were deliberately destroyed or abandoned. only massive stone foundations and megalithic structures remained. These structures display advanced capabilities. However, they do not reveal the technologies that created them. However, the withdrawal was not entirely complete. The texts suggest that some Anunnaki remained on Earth. Though their numbers were reduced, they continued their activities from hidden facilities. They also maintained limited communication with select human communities. These remaining entities served as observers and emergency contacts. They were prepared to intervene if human development threatened broader cosmic interests. Stories from various cultures describe gods or divine messengers appearing, occasionally. This indicates that a certain level of monitoring and intervention persisted. The impact of this transition on human civilization was profound and lasting. The sudden reduction of direct divine guidance forced humanity to stand on its own. Humanity had to develop independent problem-solving skills. This led to rapid advancements in various fields of knowledge. Administrative structures were established during the transition. These structures laid the foundation for complex civilizations. They could manage large populations, extensive trade networks, and advanced legal systems. Moreover, this management was achieved without permanent divine oversight. The knowledge systems transferred during this process encompassed not only practical technologies. They also included complex intellectual frameworks that sustained human development. Mathematical principles, astronomical observations, medical practices, and engineering techniques preserved in ancient texts formed the basis for subsequent scientific advancements. However, this knowledge transfer possessed a selective nature. This created gaps and limitations. It would take humanity hundreds of years to address these independently. Mystery schools and secret societies were established during this period. These institutions took on the function of preserving advanced knowledge. They also restricted the dissemination of knowledge to only capable individuals. These structures maintained traditions. These traditions allegedly originated from the time of direct divine contact. Furthermore, they continued ancient practices. They served as repositories for information and techniques. These were considered too advanced or dangerous for general public knowledge. The impact of these organizations on subsequent historical development has been the subject of extensive speculation and research. The psychological impact of the divine withdrawal on human societies was equally significant. The transition from direct divine rule to human governance necessitated profound changes in religious and political thought. Concepts such as free will, moral responsibility, and human dignity developed during this process. This emerged partly in the absence of divine guidance. They can be seen as responses to the need for independent decision-making. The establishment of legal systems during this period reflects efforts to codify administrative principles. These principles were previously governed by direct divine intervention. The laws of Hammurabi, Egyptian legal traditions, and other early legal systems are noteworthy. They display a sophisticated understanding of law. They were not developed solely through human experience. Instead, they are believed to be based on previously existing administrative frameworks. A question arises from the narratives concerning this transition. Do these narratives reflect actual historical processes? Or are they mythological fictions designed to explain the evolution of human civilization? The consistency of these themes across many cultures is significant. Furthermore, archaeological evidence of complex ancient technologies exists. These technologies later disappeared. All of this suggests that the accounts in question may contain genuine historical information. This information pertains to a significant period in human development. The influence of the Anunnaki narrative extends far beyond the ancient Mesopotamia civilization. This story is woven into the foundational tales of cultures worldwide. It continues to raise questions about human origins, ancient technologies, and the possibility of extraterrestrial contact. These questions still resonate today. As one traces these connections over thousands of years, the themes presented in the Sumerian tablets remain remarkably consistent. This suggests the preservation of genuine historical memories. Alternatively, it may express fundamental human concerns about our place in the cosmos. Biblical narratives, emerging from Mesopotamia traditions, convey many Anunnaki themes in a different form. The Book of Genesis speaks of creation events. These include the creation of humans from clay. It also mentions the existence of sons of gods interacting with human women. Furthermore, it describes global catastrophes that nearly destroyed human civilization. All of these points run quite parallel to the Sumerian narratives. From the unions between divine beings and human women, the Nephilim came into the world. They are described as giants. These beings represent the hybrid communities explicitly found in Anunnaki accounts. The Book of Ezekiel offers perhaps the most technically detailed description of encounters with advanced beings. This book contains precise features of aircraft, which modern aeronautical engineers have studied. Joseph Blumrich, a scientist with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, conducted a technical analysis of Ezekiel's wheel. This analysis concluded that the prophet described a complex spacecraft. This craft possessed multiple propulsion systems and landing gear. It also had control surfaces demonstrating advanced aeronautical design principles. Egyptian civilization also preserved similar themes. This occurred through narratives concerning the Net-Uru, who reigned during the pre-dynastic period. The Net-Uru were divine beings who laid the foundations of Egyptian culture. Egypt's precision in astronomical knowledge was remarkable. The advanced nature of its medical practices was equally striking. The technical achievements demonstrated in pyramid construction are also significant. All of these suggest access to advanced knowledge systems, similar to those attributed to the Anunnaki. Egyptian king lists, like Sumerian examples, record remarkably long reigns for early rulers. This implies either legendary exaggeration or genuinely extended lifespans. Hindu traditions contain extensive narratives. These stories concern advanced beings known as the Devas. The Devas possessed advanced technologies. They utilized weapons surprisingly similar to modern military systems. These beings engaged in cosmic warfare. The Mahabharata text describes flying vehicles and precisely guided weapons. It also speaks of destructive devices. These devices could annihilate entire cities. They rendered surrounding regions uninhabitable for generations. The technical details in these stories are comparable to modern military specifications. This suggests that they resulted from direct observation. Mesoamerican cultures formed their unique traditions. These traditions speak of divine beings descending from the sky. These beings established their civilizations. Feathered serpent gods, such as Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan, were important. They brought agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy to humans. They also transferred various technologies. The accuracy of their astronomical calculations served as evidence of this knowledge. They possessed a profound understanding of celestial mechanics. This suggests their access to advanced knowledge systems. These systems predicted eclipses over vast periods. They also had the ability to forecast planetary movements. Such information closely resembles that described in ancient narratives. Enormous stone structures exhibit similar construction techniques. Their astronomical alignments are also identical. The global distribution of these structures is significant. This points to a widespread cultural influence. Furthermore, it suggests common technological interactions. Sites such as Göbekli Li Tepe, Sacsayhuaman, Man, Beaslebek, and Stonehenge are notable. The construction skills at these locations are highly impressive. These structures, supposedly built with simple tools, contradict current knowledge. The precision of these structures' astronomical alignments inspires awe. Furthermore, their engineering is extremely complex. This suggests that they accessed advanced measurement techniques. It also indicates their use of sophisticated construction technologies. Contemporary archaeological discoveries challenge traditional historical timelines. New anomalies are continually coming to light. For example, the Anti-Kaith-U-Rua mechanism is a complex bronze computer. This mechanism belonged to the ancient Greek period. It displayed technology expected to emerge 1,000 years later. Similar, unexplained artifacts have been unearthed worldwide. These findings suggest that ancient civilizations possessed astonishing capabilities. Traditional archaeology may have overlooked or misinterpreted these abilities. These topics persist in contemporary popular culture. This indicates an enduring interest in questions about human origins. It also sparks curiosity about the possibility of ancient contact with advanced beings. Science fiction literature, films, and television programs explore these themes. They consistently investigate various scenarios. These scenarios concern the impact of divine intervention on human development. They closely parallel ancient narratives. The popularity of these themes raises profound questions about human identity. It also seeks answers to fundamental questions regarding our relationship with the universe. Recent advancements in genetic research have offered a new perspective on ancient creation narratives. Modern humans carry genetic material from multiple archaic human populations. This discovery combines with unexplained accelerations in human evolution. This has led some researchers to speculate. They consider the possibility of genetic intervention in the human lineage. Mainstream science attributes these developments to natural evolutionary processes. However, the similarities with ancient genetic engineering narratives are striking. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence has given new meaning to ancient astronaut theories. Exoplanets with habitable potential have been discovered. Evidence of past water activity on Mars has also been found. Government agencies acknowledge unidentified aerial phenomena. All these developments have increased the likelihood of contact with advanced civilizations. This topic has now become a legitimate area of scientific inquiry. Ancient narratives about such contacts are being examined through the lens of modern space science and technology. Advanced computer analysis of ancient texts has revealed new data. This data was unknown to previous researchers. It contained complex mathematical and astronomical details. Hidden numerical patterns are present in religious texts. Coded astronomical data and complex mathematical relationships also exist. These suggest that ancient peoples possessed more advanced knowledge than we previously assumed. This level of information is far different from what was formerly accepted. These discoveries continue to challenge assumptions about the intellectual capabilities of ancient civilizations. Artificial intelligence and genetic engineering technologies are rapidly advancing. This offers new perspectives for understanding ancient narratives involving advanced technologies. Contemporary scientific achievements, which seemed impossible only a few decades ago, now exist. Cloning, genetic modification, and computer consciousness are examples. Space travel is also among these achievements. These developments make ancient descriptions of similar capabilities less fantastical. Furthermore, they render them potentially more historical. From this vast network of connections, a question arises. Ancient narratives have been preserved across cultures and throughout thousands of years. Do they represent a genuine historical tradition? Or do they offer an enduring mythological framework used by humans to understand their origins and place in the universe? The consistency of these themes across cultures is important. Their technical sophistication and connection to modern science continue. All of this suggests that they are potentially historical documents. Therefore, they deserve more serious examination rather than being seen as purely mythological constructs. Consider these ancient stories and their modern echoes. Humanity's current technological advancement is significant. Will this trajectory compel us to play similar roles? Will we assume tasks like those described in ancient narratives? One day we may encounter primitive civilizations. Will we be the advanced beings in those scenarios? We will need to make decisions concerning intervention, guidance, and cosmic citizenship. Perhaps the deepest legacy of ancient narratives is not in their historical accuracy. Instead, it lies in their exploration of the challenges brought by advanced knowledge and power. These are challenges of an ethical and philosophical nature. The ancient questions posed by these narratives remain relevant today. What are the responsibilities of advanced beings towards less developed civilizations? How should knowledge and technology be shared or concealed? What are the long-term consequences of intervening in natural developmental processes? Timeless dilemmas are preserved in humanity's oldest stories. As we venture into space and acquire new capabilities, these continue to challenge us. We are now developing abilities that our ancestors only attributed to gods.